Princess Emily, reeling from the loss of her love, Alvin, and the fall of her kingdom, is rescued from a demonic prison by Bob, Alvin's fierce hobbit friend. They follow secret tunnels to an underground sanctuary of surviving hobbits and fairies. There, Emily delivers the devastating news of Alvin's heroic sacrifice to his parents. Bound by grief yet guided by purpose, Emily chose solitude over sacrifice. While she braved the unknown alone, the leaders gathered their final strength for a desperate stand to reclaim the Lumina tree and defy Abaddon's darkness. The war for Elara has just begun. Fiona, one of the warrior fairies, Bob and I left the safety of the underground hollow under the cloak of a cold, sunless dawn. The air was thick with a foul metallic scent, and the once vibrant landscape was now a horror show. The Lumina tree, once the heart of our world, was now a twisted mockery of itself. Its luminescent bark had turned a sickly gray-black, and its branches, once filled with light, were now gnarled claws reaching for a sky that was the color of old bruises. The ethereal humming was replaced by a low, discordant groan that vibrated through the very earth. We moved as a small, determined band. Bob, with a grim set to his jaw, led the way. His hobbit instincts for the earth and its hidden paths were our most valuable asset. Most of the surviving fairies, their wings no longer shimmering with light, but a dull, lifeless gray, flew low and close to the ground, their forms blending in with the desolate landscape. Our magic, once a torrent, was now a trickle. Even my wings have changed. Once strong enough to carry me to the highest peaks, they now feel like heavy, useless remnants of what I used to be. It was a new kind of terror to feel so utterly stripped of my identity. We made our way toward the Whispering Grove, the first milestone in our journey. Our ancient homes were built within the silver trees, and we hoped to find a hidden cache of supplies or a forgotten magical artifact. The forest was silent, a graveyard of forgotten memories. The trees, once alive with secrets, now stood as gaunt skeletal sentinels. A chilling whisper slithered through the air, but it wasn't the gentle voice of the trees. It was a hungry, malicious sound that spoke of things that had died here. That was when we saw them. A patrol of 3 demons. Their bodies, a horrifying fusion of razor-sharp scales and jagged bone, prowled the forest floor. They were the fangs of Abaddon, and their eyes glowed with a malevolent inner fire. They were sniffing the air, their grotesque heads tilting this way and that. We froze, our hearts pounding against our ribs like trapped birds. Bob, with a quiet strength that belied his size, pulled me and the others down behind a fallen, petrified log. Fiona let out a gasp. She was very brave, but she was new to this kind of fear, and it threatened to consume her. The demon's head snapped in our direction. One of them, a hulking brute with a maw full of black, needle-like teeth, began to shamble toward our hiding place. My mind raced. My magic was too weak to fight, but I had to do something. I reached for the one thing I had left, my connection to Alvin. I closed my eyes and whispered his name, remembering the feel of his calloused hand in mine. And then, I reached not for the magic of the air, but for the magic of the earth. I pictured the root system beneath us, the network of life that had always sustained the hobbits. I pushed my will into the soil, and with a grunt of immense effort, I commanded the roots to move. But nothing happened. My heart sank. I felt a familiar, sickening futility. But then Bob placed a small, steady hand on my back. He whispered a chant, an old hobbit rhyme for coaxing stubborn vegetables from the ground. It was an act of pure faith, a gentle, earthy magic. I felt a surge of strength, not from the air, but from the ground, a warmth that flowed from his hand into my core. The ground shuddered. A thick, gnarled root, like a serpent of wood and stone, snaked up from the soil. It wrapped around the ankles of the approaching demon and pulled hard. The beast stumbled and fell with a crash, its bones cracking against the petrified wood. It thrashed and roared, its monstrous cries echoing through the silent forest. The other 2 demons, their attention now on their fallen comrade, rushed to help it. "Run!" Bob yelled, and we did, scrambling into the deeper parts of the forest. The demons, now in a rage, gave chase. We ran for what felt like hours, the sickening sound of their pursuit never far behind us. Just as we thought we were cornered, a patch of the ground beneath us crumbled. We fell into a dark, earthy cavern. The sound of the demon's enraged roars faded above us as the earth sealed itself behind us. We had stumbled into a deep, forgotten part of the Hobbit network. It was here, in this silent, forgotten tomb, that we found a discovery that would change everything. Carved into the damp earth, lit by a single glowing crystal, was an old Hobbit fresco. It showed the story of King Leo, not from our fairy perspective, but from the Hobbit point of view. It showed a Hobbit at his side, a hero of the earth who had fought alongside him. The fresco depicted a shining scar on his left arm, a mark of love from a fairy. It wasn't just my story. It was an ancient truth, a history that had been buried and forgotten. The fresco had a final inscription in both our languages that was too dark to read. It said, "When the sun dies and the moon bleeds, the last of the two worlds will awaken the magic of the first." My heart hammered in my chest. This wasn't just a story about the end. It was a story about the beginning. It was a prophecy, and it was about Alvin and me and something far older and more powerful than we had ever imagined. The darkness outside was immense, but in this ancient, silent tomb, a new mystery had been born. And with it, a glimmer of terrifying hope. What would happen next? Tell me your thoughts in comments and hit the like button and share my story with others. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel for the upcoming episodes.